Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Films and Stuff podcast. I'm Ethan, and I'm joined by Pete. Hey, Pete, how are you today?
I am good. How are you?
Oh, man. This is going to be a long and deliciously enjoyable episode because
Sorry.
Because we're talking about Fast X. It just came out this weekend. We're recording this on a Saturday morning. For most people, it came out on Friday night. I saw it on a Thursday night. Pete, when did you see it?
I also saw it on Friday. It was out on Thursday here as well. I mean, we'll talk about it, obviously, but the numbers have already been looking stellar for the 2-day preview.
They look pretty good.
Yeah,
they look pretty good. So we've got a lot to dive into. This is going to be, a soup to nuts, A to Z, turnkey discussion of everything that's Fast franchise related.
And spoiler alert, pun very much intended. Can I just say, as I told you offline,
say it.
I usually have a very good idea of how I'm going to rate the movie well before or right after I've seen the movie.
Right.
I still cannot tell you what my rating is, and I'm hoping that this conversation helps me determine what my final rating is going to be.
I know what my rating is going to be, but that doesn't mean that I don't have a lot of both good and bad things to say about the movie itself, but
right.
I'm pretty clear with my rating. The problem for me is where to begin to unpack this movie. So tell me about the setup and where you saw it, the environment. Just let's set the scene for how we saw this, because I think that's quite important for this movie.
So I'm back in Calcutta. I saw it in an IMAX 3D viewing.
3D?
Yeah, I mean, wholly unnecessary, but there was like one sequence in the entire movie that justified a 3D lens. The cinema wasn't terribly crowded, so I thought, oh, maybe I was going to be wrong about my prediction, but then I did some sanity check to myself. So I watched this in the Inox cinema chain in India. They had, I think, 11 or maybe 10 showings in the theater I was doing for the day on Friday.
Wow.
And Inox has 10, maybe 8 cinemas in Calcutta alone.
Yeah, that's 100 showings.
Theoretically. And they serve 200 million Indians across the country.
Okay.
Even if they have showings that are relatively sparse, like the one I went to, yeah. I'm not concerned because for Inox, and I'm assuming for a variety of other movie chains in the country, it's a volume games business. We're just going to kill them with the number of showings we have, and let's see what sticks.
That's right. What was your cinema like? Like what percentage of...
I think it was not more than 20% full, and I'm being generous with that.
What time did you see it?
I saw it just around noon.
Okay. I saw it in Dubai on Thursday night, opening night. And I think the earliest showing there might have been like a 6:30. I saw it at 11:30, which is a little bit late on a school night. But when I got to the cinema, I say this with full sincerity, never in my 17 years in Dubai have I seen a cinema as full and active as when I went Thursday night. It looked like, like the mall scene in Stranger Things, like where everyone's like running around and like there's noise and music and everything. I felt like I was back in a mall in like the mid 80s with the amount of energy. And this was the only thing showing. There's nothing else. There were 2 showings at 11:30 p.m. The Platinum Cinema and the Gold Cinema, normal.
Right.
I went to the normal and it was, I mean, if you said 40, 45%, I definitely would have believed you. Way fuller than any other movie I've ever been in there. Usually it's kind of like 15 to 25% full. It was definitely in the 40s. If someone would have said 50, I would have believed them. It was really jamming, to be honest. So
that's
that gives
a Thursday night, yeah?
At 11:30 p.m.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's amazing.
But the movie was actually shorter than I expected. I thought this was going to be a 3-hour marathon. I think it was closer to 2.
I'm pretty sure that it was 2 hours, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Don't
It
hold me
was,
to that, but yeah, let's
yeah.
call it 2 for the sake of argument.
I kept looking at my clock and I was expecting a good 30 minutes. You know how this thing ends, right? They're going down kind of like the dam with the fire and the flames and everything.
Yeah.
I was expecting it was going to go on a good 30 minutes after that, and we were going to reach conclusion. Obviously, it did not. So it was shorter than I expected, actually.
Okay, so before we go into why that's a problematic moment for me, why don't we go ahead and at least get a one-sided thing? What's your initial take on this? Is this a must-watch in cinema, or is this a wait for streaming? Or is this a skip?
My very summary take is that if you're a movie fan, you should definitely watch this in cinemas. It's worth it for the environment. It's very, very engaging, action-packed. But for a Fast and Furious franchise film, I don't think it had a signature moment. And while I don't think anyone would have asked for their money back, I would be shocked to meet the person who came out of that cinema and said, that's the best one yet.
I think I was struggling to come up with an eloquent way of saying what I had a problem with, but I think you've hit it exactly right. There was no signature stunt.
No.
Every movie in the Fast franchise, more or less since Fast 5, the one in Rio, that this movie clearly relies on heavily.
Yeah.
I think every movie has had one gasp out loud stunt that made everyone go, holy crap.
I would actually do you one step further and say all of their big action stunts I've seen before in a Fast film. The rolling, burning ball of death, I think, is a lot like the safe in Rio in Fast 5. I think that I've definitely seen Dom back out of a airplane in his car and land.
Yeah.
I have definitely seen a submarine before. And I've seen helicopters or some type of air wing attach like grappling hooks to his car, and he's kind of like smashed them down. I have to say, they're big sequences, put aside for the fact that they're all excellent, by the way. I've seen them all in a Fast film. And for a franchise that's usually known for kind of like blowing your mind, it felt surprisingly yawn that they've kind of recycled their stuff.
And I think that criticism applies not just to the stunts, but also to a lot of
the people
and the plot threads, right?
Yeah.
Let's get on with it, right? So the reality is that the premise of the movie is very simple. The aftermath of Fast 5 was that this squad has basically stolen like a couple $100 million that they claim to have burned and thrown away, but clearly they kept it for themselves, right?
Yeah.
The guy they stole it from, Hernan Reyes, had a son named Dante, played very aptly by Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
And Jason Momoa is now back to kind of go on a revenge mission to reclaim not just his family fortune, but actually to reclaim the family honor, I suppose. I think that's the best way to do it, because he gets the money.
Sure.
So I think there's nothing else left for him to do but to kind of torture the crap out of these guys. That's pretty much the premise of this movie. Does that sound right?
I have to say, in a few ways, I admired the idea of the plot. Like, I thought that the Dante, the Jason Momoa character, I thought that was clever. I really liked him in the opening scenes. I thought he was he was really villainous, right? I thought that was great. I mean, I think it kind of explained a lot of things. And now, yes, he's come back to get revenge. I thought he had a very weird way of getting revenge, like kind of unnecessary. Like, I would have expected him to just kind of like go to Dom's house and like slice them all open. Like, he could have done this, pretty meticulously. the idea that he had to create this fake mission in Rome for half the team, the idea that then he had to take Cypher's crew and then use that to somehow expect Dom to go follow the first half of his team to Rome. And then like, it just seemed like a very poor way to get revenge on someone you wanted to get revenge. Dude, just take your knife, go to his house and like cut him up, right?
I mean, unnecessarily convoluted. Let's put it that way.
Thank you. Thank you for someone. That's exactly what I meant to say. Unnecessarily convoluted plot for someone who just straight up wanted revenge, right?
Yeah, and I get that they kind of preface what you're saying because he said you shouldn't just kill them, right? Hernan Reyes is saying you have to make them suffer first.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. And I get that, but I feel like why this elaborate plan to split the team apart? I mean, these are the kinds of silly nuances that we kind of have to overlook because ultimately this is a Fast and the Furious movie.
Yeah.
It's not Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
It's not James Bond. Although I would go so far as to say that this franchise has very elegantly transitioned itself to being almost like a blue-collar Mission Impossible or a blue-collar James Bond. They've taken on this persona of being spy/agents for this unnamed agency. Every movie has had in the past some kind of crazy signature stunt, just like pretty much that's what every Mission Impossible movie has done.
I kind of like that trajectory that they were going on because, to be honest, I thought that was a more sustainable trajectory.
Yeah,
that
more
suddenly,
fun,
hey,
right?
we're kind of an elite, off the books Suicide Squad, so to speak, right? Like the government knows that we've done a lot of kind of bad stuff in the past. They've kind of looked the other way as we've personally profited. And as a result, we've got to deal with used to be Mr. Nobody, and now it's like little nobody. Now we've got a deal that if we want to maintain our freedom and if we want to keep our families protected, we've got to continue to do missions. And now there's this new mission in X country, right? I thought that was a very sustainable type of model. The old, hey, bad guy returns after 10 years, the same old kind of kidnapping stuff I thought was a little bit, we've seen it before. But that's not really my biggest criticism. I'm probably overblowing my criticism. I think I go back to the fact that I don't think anything was really new. They leaned into, let's talk about the themes that they really leaned into.
Mm-hmm.
They leaned into family.
Oh my God, too much.
Too much.
I mean, this is something they've done so often in the past movies,
and decently in a way. Honestly, you really feel like this group is dedicated and loyal to each other, and that's worth embracing. But I think to bring in Dom's son and all the driving lessons, and how many times we say, son, you got to do this, son, you got to believe, son.
Yeah.
Oh,
have faith.
Yes.
Steal the car.
Over the top.
Very frankly speaking, I mean, it's endearing that they still have that as a running theme. Literally 10 movies into the franchise. I mean, you're beating a dead horse at this point, right? And to bring in other actors to signify, we've got now Rita Moreno coming in as his grandmother, and she's now talking about the legacy, about the family.
Yeah.
It's too much. And the reality is that audiences today are a little bit more sophisticated. And I love Jordana Brewster, but she shouldn't have been in this movie.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that out loud. Pete, I'm giving you the MVP of this episode. I'm really serious about it. Jordana Brewster was amazing in kind of like 1 and 3 and 4 and 5. There's 2 problems with her, I think, being in this.
Yeah.
Number 1, in a franchise that regularly resurrects its dead, we'll get to that again.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that we see her and not Paul Walker essentially says, hey, I'm going to come and hang out with you guys and help, right? Even though I'm the skinniest, weakest, most useless person on this team, while my husband, who's your best friend and a former federal agent
and the best driver,
is apparently just going to babysit. I think the fact that she shows up highlights the fact that he's out, and you can only come to the conclusion that he is babysitting, which I think is stupid. She should not be in it. She doesn't add anything. She's not a fan favorite. She was in 9 against my recommendations because her brother was involved, who appeared out of nowhere, right? She doesn't have anything to do in this episode at all. No reason to be in it. I'm really upset about that.
As usual, it's like you're reading my notes, because that's exactly what I said. Her presence in this movie just reinforces the fact that Paul Walker unfortunately passed away too soon. In a movie where death is essentially meaningless, right? Because so many people have come back from the dead. It's so pointedly obvious that he's not in this movie and that he's never going to be in these franchises. Right. I'm sorry. Like, again, I love Jordana Brewster.
I do not.
She cannot be in this movie, because that's all it's doing is just reinforcing that fact.
I hope no one takes this as a personal attack. She's not actually a very compelling figure in this franchise. She was the younger sister who fell for Paul Walker, which made the whole thing in 1 more complicated. They carried it on into subsequent episodes. They're out. I don't think that there's a fan base who's like, we really want to see her fight. She is not a fighter. She is not known to be a fighter.
Time out for a second, by the way. How is it possible that, like, I get it. When you see Letty scrapping with Charlize Theron, you're
Letty
just like,
a scrapper.
All right, she's a scrapper. She always has been. And not just in this movie. Like, that's kind of how she's known in all her movies. She's known for that. She is a physical actor.
Yes.
Kudos.
We've seen her fight before, by the way. She took on Ronda Rousey in 7.
Exactly. How is it that everybody and their mother is all of a sudden John Wick? Did you notice that Han is a car driver, yet he is holding his own against elite agencies with Jason Statham? How does that work?
Just the opposite. Han was, in the early episodes, Han was known as kind of a ninny.
He was the smart guy who didn't engage.
Yep. He was not the guy who threw down.
Exactly. He was the one eating snacks while he let his girlfriend Gal Gadot take the fight.
That's right.
She was also the scrapper, right? She was the martial artist who kicked ass, and everyone always underestimated her. Yeah. So that made sense, right? Oh, and even when Han comes back in the last movie, he came back as like the sniper, the guy who's a million miles away from the fight scene.
Yeah.
So for all of a sudden, for him to go toe-to-toe with agents and with Jason Statham, and he even starts off that fight by saying, I'm not going to fight you.
Yeah.
Like, buddy, I'm sorry. Could you fight him? I don't think so.
I thought this movie was much more John Wick hand-to-hand combat-y than I've seen in previous Fast and Furious.
Totally. And I feel like that could also just be that they're taking inspiration from movies that are hitting on all cylinders as the franchise moves on.
Apart from The Rock and Statham's big jailhouse fight, and there was also a Vin Diesel Rock fight, I think, in 5.
Yeah.
Hand-to-hand combat has not really been the theme of the Fast and Furious. It's been
kind of always been car to car.
Yeah. Driving and tech have been their action MOs. It's never been these dramatically choreographed, fighting scenes.
Shall we talk about the elephant in the room, since we're talking about Han, since we've already mentioned that the dead means nothing in this franchise, which, by the way, I think is a massive mistake. Let's stop beating around the bush. Spoiler number 1, Gal Gadot is back.
How is Giselle back? Not just back. Back is one thing. Back and working with Cypher.
Which makes no sense. Right?
No sense.
She was firmly on the side of quote unquote good. I know it sounds reductive, but at the end of the day, Vin Diesel isn't exactly known for being the most sophisticated producer. So I think in his mind, the reality is it's good versus bad. And the Fast family is the good guys and everyone else is the bad guys.
Giselle was good, though. Even if you look at when she was first introduced, she was telling Vin Diesel not to be the smuggler. She was actually a good influence.
I have a sneaking suspicion that they're going to do the same thing they did with Letty in Fast 4, which is she came back from the dead somehow, a la Palpatine, and
She
she's
forgot who
forgotten
she
her
was.
memory, and Cypher has been kind of using her to her own advantage as like the trump card that she could use against the Fast family.
You know what would have been cool? First of all, I have a whole problem with the submarine. I think it was stupid. We've already seen a submarine. It didn't add any value at all. Honestly, it should have been someone like Lucy Liu. You know, I'm making up Lucy Liu. It should have
Oh
been
man, that would have been
should have been
so good.
a new cameo where the thing pops up and she pops out, and
And
Lucy
everyone's
Liu's
like, who
like,
the heck is that?
to have Gal Gadot, great name. Honestly, unlike Jordana Brewster, who I wish they would write out, I'm super happy that Gal is back. I really like her.
I loved her.
But as a storyline, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Yeah. And in fact, it's just kind of making a mockery of the fact that now you've got to question, is Jacob, John Cena, dead?
Oh,
absolutely
there's
not.
No way he's dead. It was such an unceremonious death, so quick, and it happened so fast, and everyone forgot about it instantly. There wasn't a slow motion like flashback sequence or anything like that. Nothing. So there's no way he's dead. And it's funny you say that, because I think one of the things we should do at the end of this, towards the end of this episode, is our predictions for Fast 11.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got 6 bullet points that I've got so far that I've written down that I think plus or minus 10%, some variation of each of those 6 things is going to happen in the next movie.
I agree. I guess this all falls under the category cast. Are we happy with the cast? I would say I'm not happy to the extent that it has a very big cast to begin with. And I feel like already we're spending too much time on folks that I actually don't want to see on screen. And the folks that I do want to see, I think, are marginalized by this constant introduction and rotation around people to kind of give everyone a few lines.
So I think what's happened with this movie is that Vin Diesel and the producers and the writers saw the immense success of Avengers Infinity War, followed immediately by Avengers Endgame, and they tried to create their own version of that. So we'll talk about that, but let's go. You're right. Let's talk about the cast while we're at it. Vin Diesel, I think, is Vin Diesel. He speaks as if he ate a bowl of gravel for breakfast. And he's got that same.
By the way, he looks good in this movie, though.
He does, which is funny because every year this happens. Every time the Fast movies releases, they inevitably show a picture of him in his summer vacation between movies, where he's got a big pot belly, and everyone says, "Oh, dad bod, Vin." But then in every movie he comes back, he's in good shape. He's not looking like a bum. People are allowed to have off time, right? Like he unfairly, I think, gets criticized because I think a lot of people like to pile on the fact that the Fast franchise is like this quote unquote stupid movie franchise.
I don't think they've been piling on. I think in past movies, he has, with some creative camera angles and stuff, looked okay. This one, I have to say, he really seemed to be serious. And I could tell, like, I thought he looked more ripped than in several previous ones that I've seen. I have to give him good credit. He brought his game to this one.
What did you think of Michelle Rodriguez?
Oh, solid. I mean, I have a lot of good vibes for her because I loved her so much in Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of that's carried over. And I have to say, I think she gave a very good performance. I think here's a very positive thing I'll say about the film. The idea of splitting locations, I think, was a very, very intelligent decision. The idea that there's now 3 groups, and I liked Theron, Rodriguez, Letty idea in Antarctica, although it's not clear at all how they knew they were in Antarctica and how they would order the sub to get there, but we'll put that aside. But I thought that Letty was great. I thought her fight scenes were great. Like, I thought she brought her A game. She was spot on.
Moving on, what about Charlize Theron?
Solid.
I had an issue with Charlize Theron. Look,
tell me.
She is the woman who murdered his son's mom.
True.
Because the franchise has been relatively clear about black versus white, good versus evil, whatever you want to call it. They haven't been very nuanced about this so-called gray area. So when you have been very clear in this franchise about who's the good guy and who's the bad guy, how is it all of a sudden the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and that's enough to justify working with her? I think that's a bit silly.
I agree with you, but are they really working with her?
No, you're right. It's vague like that. You're right. It is absolutely left vague. That was why that fight scene, which again, totally unnecessary, but still I was glad it happened. It felt very satisfying.
Yes. It was necessary, I think, for the plot.
Yeah.
I think that at first when I was watching it, I was like, you've only got 4 minutes, get out of there. But then when you put it into the context of Letty would not let it go.
Yeah.
I agree with her. And I think that fight scene was necessary in the sense that it kind of said something unsaid, which is, hey, maybe we're cooperating now to escape, but by the way, that doesn't make us friends or allies. Let me punch you a little bit first, and then we'll escape together, but we're not friends.
Even for me as a viewer, it was very cathartic.
Yeah, and that was a pretty good fight scene. To be honest, that's a very good fight scene.
Yeah,
right?
Fantastic. And by the way, to all of the Hollywood writers and directors and producers who are listening, that is how you do a fight scene between two women.
Yeah.
At no point did they hold back. And they treated the fight scene as if to say, I don't care what gender you are, I'm going to fight you to the death because I intend on killing you.
Yeah.
Wonderfully executed. And it highlighted the advantages that both brought into it, right?
Yeah.
Charlize tried to use the lasers and the tech, whereas Letty was pure brute, Dungeons and Dragons style barbarian, where she just wanted to knock her head clean off her shoulders.
Yeah. But watching those two fight also makes me think back to Jordana Brewster when she's attacked by that agency.
Oh, God.
Fast and Furious is not intended to be a reflection on reality. We suspend some belief. But I can see her fighting off 2 or 3 people, getting a few punches in. She throws a frying pan and so forth. But come on. After her few kicks are landed, she's going to be captured. That's just it.
One punch to the face. I mean,
or all those guys have guns.
Yeah.
Just shoot her in the face. Right?
No one brought a taser. You're supposed to be doing this non-lethally. No one brought a taser.
I mean, if you're going to bring guns, use the gun. Otherwise, what's the point of just holding on to something? That's a very good point that you said, which is if they're trying to do this a little bit discreetly in the middle of a Los Angeles neighborhood, in the middle of the day, right? Bring a taser.
Yeah.
You can't have it both ways. So.
And they've been preparing for these contingencies, right? Like in the last movie, when there was trouble, the son hides in this prepared makeshift basket in the garage. Right. Here, he just locks himself in a bathroom. Like you're telling me you don't have a contingency plan. You sleep with a pistol in your bed, but you don't keep a contingency plan.
I know.
Moving swiftly on, John Cena, who gets introduced in that fight sequence. What do you think of him?
I like Cena, of course. I thought he did a really good job. And I think that the airplane scene, I thought in the car, he was forcing it a little bit. Maybe they had the wrong music. But I thought the airplane scene was amazing, where he's pouring the vodka into the craft, which was super cool, although obviously not the right size of the surfboard. And the kid's like, hey, how about this? He's like, that's rosé. Won't work. Long story, but I like where your head's at. Yeah. I thought that was super funny.
Right away, I knew that kayak wasn't going to be a kayak. Because
I knew that wasn't a kayak. I thought it was a missile, though.
I thought it was going to be a rocket launcher, too.
Yeah, when it was on top of the car, I'm like, that's got to be like a missile. There's going to be some plane. He's going to rip the thing off, and it's going to shoot a plane down.
That's exactly what I thought. So that first point. Second point was that car sequence and the plane sequence made me remember why I liked Peacemaker so much.
Oh, yeah.
Because in Peacemaker, even though he was dealing with adults, he was pretty much a child, right? The way he was talking and behaving.
Yes.
And in this one, you get to see his interplay with an actual child.
Yeah.
I liked that. I thought that, I think it worked really well. Yeah. Actually, this works perfectly. What did you think of the little kid?
No offense to the little kid. I don't think that was necessary at all. Yeah. I mean, it absolutely wasn't necessary at all. I don't find Vin Diesel is the best Vin Diesel when he's trying to act all son.
Fatherly.
Got to do this. I mean, it's not compelling. I don't think the movie is at all better entertainment wise or anything wise by having that kid in an extended sequence.
Also,
Sorry.
they made the kid a killer.
Oh, because he's shooting the cannonballs?
Yeah. I'm just saying that for someone who's so busy trying to protect a kid, you don't let the kid blow up cars.
I mean, the whole thing is unnecessary. And I guess the worst part is that, man, I don't want to see this kid in every other movie, for the rest of time.
Yeah, he's locked in now. Yeah.
Find a way to minimize the kid. It just didn't add anything for me. I'm not really coming to watch, Vin Diesel raise his son, and I'm not really here to watch a son. He's not like funny. And it's hard when it's a kid, like, when we watch The Last of Us, there's no actual family relationship. And that makes, I think, those things a little bit easier to stomach.
Yeah.
When it's your actual blood, like someone's real son, it makes you look at those scenes, I think, a little bit differently. And that's why what you were saying, John Cena with a kid is a little bit cooler because it's not his kid. He's not there to teach him. He's there to take care of him, right? Hey, do this, don't do this. When it's Vin Diesel, I mean, he's acting like, I don't know about your dad, but like, I don't know my dad or anyone else's dad who really talks to you like that,
Yeah, definitely not. Certainly not at 8 years old teaching me to drift.
Yeah.
Like, I get that you have gasoline in your veins and not blood, but you can't tell me on one hand that you're a responsible parent and then on the other hand, teach the kid how to drift around a parking lot.
Oh, that's nothing compared to the idea of, hey, there's a car spinning around on the highway with 2 helicopters coming towards it. Why don't you just jump out of the door and jump into my door, given the fact that you've got apparently no athletic training whatsoever? Don't worry, this will be fine. Still a responsible parent? In what universe is Vin Diesel like? It's different if it's Letty, right? Okay, you suspend belief. She's an amazing, accomplished cyclist and daredevil and blah, 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 right?
What about
Tyrese and Luda?
Yeah, let's save Jason Momoa to last. What about Tyrese and Luda?
When they went into, what's this dude's name who did the cameo?
Pete Davidson.
I thought that was a great cameo, though. That was a super good cameo.
I hate Pete Davidson. I don't get him. I don't get it.
I thought it was a good cameo. When those two get along, Tyrese and Tej, right, Luda, when those two get along, I think they're super powerful. What I've grown annoyed by is their constant little like bickering and putting down of each other. I'd rather see those two like the inseparable twins that finish each other's sentences and they're like super, super like bro supportive of each other.
And I think what would be great is if that, because I think you're absolutely right? Because in the last 6 movies, we've always seen them snipe. What I think would be great is if they're best of best friends, which they obviously are, but supportive, and that irritates the rest of the group.
Yes. Like, I want to see them like sharing clothes. I want to see them with like buddy bracelets. I want to see them like leaning into it in a really like uncomfortable, funny way.
Exactly. And then Han is like, oh, you guys should get a room.
Yes. Like, hey, I was just thinking of you and I got you one of those like neck pillows. You got me a neck pillow? That was so considerate. I got you this. No way. You knew that I wanted one of those?
No, and it would be the funny thing because it would be totally stereotyped, right? Like he gets him a neck pillow and he gets him a golden R8 Audi, right? Or something ridiculously misbalanced as well.
Yeah. There's sniping. We've seen it for a lot of episodes and it had its time, but now it's just like, they're not even like witty things anymore. It's just more or less like old couple complaining about each other. But I'd like both the characters. I feel like if they would...
The dynamic needs to change. I'm with you on that.
If they'd lean into that, I think they'd be like my favorite 2 people. Because they're both super likable. Yeah?
Super likable, very charismatic, and their chemistry with each other off the charts. I think they have the best chemistry in the series amongst them than anybody else does.
Totally right. Yeah, I don't want to see them fighting anymore. I want to see them like really like best friends finishing each other's sentences.
Like, they had that perfect opportunity then to like snipe at each other because they were both chasing after the other girl, Natalie something.
Right? Yeah, Emmanuel.
And they flubbed it with that.
Yeah.
at the end we find out maybe she's a lesbian, or maybe that she's already seen someone else and they're both commiserating with each other.
Yeah.
I think that would have been hilarious. But
what do you think of Natalie's role?
She is what I would call, in this case, like, I don't want to call her C tier because, again, I don't want to imply that she's bad, but she's kind of, how necessary is she to the crew?
So I agree with you that this is, first of all, I love her.
Oh, okay.
I love her. Since Game of Thrones, I really, really love her.
Right.
But she is underutilized. She's not given any personality. She's not, okay, she's kind of the techie hacker.
But that's kind of what Ludacris did.
Yeah, she's added, but she doesn't have a clear role. But I love her as a character, and I think they need to find a personality trait for her.
Yeah, and they tried that when she was like sitting there lamenting the fact that, oh my God, it was my invention. It was supposed to be for good. And I'm just sitting there, I was like, come on. In what world does any person, how naive do you have to be to think that something like God's Eye would be used for good?
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I don't know. It just came off as not just implausible, but also silly and dumb. But that's fine.
Yeah.
Han?
Not really adding much, to be honest. I mean, the shock value of him coming back is worn off. I mean, he's not particularly funny. He's just not adding anything, I don't think. Do you?
So historically, Han has actually been my favorite character in the Fast and Furious movies. The reason I really liked him is because in terms of character growth, he's the one who's exhibited the most. And that was primarily because Giselle died in Fast 6. And you kind of see him get his life together and mature.
In 7.
I liked that. And this movie undoes a lot of that growth by bringing her back. Obviously, they haven't met each other yet. You know, the problem is that when you have death, which is supposed to be like the ultimate finality, you can reverse it once. But if you do it more than once, it becomes like how we think about what happened with John Cena. It becomes a joke.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like Han. I agree with you, is underutilized. I like Han and Jason Statham's a little bit of that conflict. I wish we got to see more of it, but this is the issue I had with this movie is they purposefully left so many untied loose ends because they clearly were building up for the sequel.
You can do that, but there's too many people. And again, if you look at what they're giving screen time to, don't give anything to Jordana Brewster. You don't need it. Don't give it to Vin Diesel's kid. You don't need it. Don't give it to Nathalie Emmanuel, who I love. It hurts me to say that.
Yeah.
Doesn't need it. Then instead focus on Han and Statham, right? I mean, we didn't even we're not even done with the cast. Keep going. Helen Mirren, Brie, Ames, Little Nobody, Momoa. It's a huge list.
The rest of those guys, except for Momoa, I think are like basically just people who are there to move the plot along, and that's it.
Brie Larson was amazing.
To be determined. I thought she played her role very well, and I think that she fits into the franchise very well. I sneakingly suspect that that's the other thing that they're trying to do with these last two movies is build it up in such a way that when they inevitably decide to make more spin-offs, they have characters that they can use that everyone's aware of. Let's talk about the big dog. Let's talk about Jason Momoa. How did you find his villainous role as Dante?
So when we saw him at the beginning, he was very, very menacing. I thought he was a real villainous bad guy.
Yes.
When we saw him go to Cypher's very poorly planned
lair
hideout that apparently only has one old school elevator as the only access point and no fire escape. Okay.
And one wire that controls the lighting for the entire building, apparently.
Okay. I thought the way that he was there was excellent. You see him cut up the dude, then like lick the blade.
Yeah.
He was not at all silly in that scene. I thought like this is a great bad guy. Then he got kind of weird, like he was the Joker.
It's so
Yeah.
funny you said that, because in my notes I said the first 50% of this movie he was
Yeah.
Bane,
Yeah.
menacing and ready to
Yes.
break the back.
Yes.
And then
You're
the
right.
last 50%, he was the Joker. And that
Yeah.
too, Heath Ledger's Joker. This
Yeah.
sociopath who's deranged, who's
Yeah.
off his meds,
Yeah.
who's got the dead bodies duct
Yeah.
taped to a lawn chair.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like that he was very much over the top, but tonally, it didn't make sense that he shifted from this super hardcore bad guy.
Choose one.
Yeah,
Choose
I
one.
agree.
I liked him I didn't think of Bane. Bane's a good example. I thought he was a great Bane-like character. And I was okay the second part when he was like a little bit playful. That was okay. But I thought when he went kind of like psychopathic, like having the dead people in the lawn chairs and painting their toenails, that's like mental illness stuff,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
The way that he was kind of like giggling when driving, there's a line between being kind of like, whoa, he's crazy versus like he may have like some type of like dramatic mental illness.
Yeah.
But I liked him most as Bane, where he was just like no nonsense. I'm here for revenge. Straight up.
For a series that has prided itself on taking itself too seriously, and I think that's the problem with a lot of the Fast franchise, was that the series itself tried to take itself too seriously.
Yeah.
So for them to pivot like this with Jason Momoa feels a little odd. Again, I'm not saying it's bad. I like that he took that swing. I like that he went over the top, that he's this sociopath. I just think that in this movie, he's playing two different characters.
Yeah.
And I would have preferred if he stuck with one or the other. The first version of him that we see on screen, I think, is the most Fast and the Furious franchise appropriate.
I agree.
But the second half character is what I think this franchise needed to kind of revitalize the bad guys. Because the bad guys have otherwise been relatively generic bad guys. Cypher, bad guy. Deckard Shaw, bad guy. And even then, Deckard Shaw and Luke kind of become good guys by the end of it.
Yeah. You may not know this, but in the Emirates, there's right now this series of television advertisements for Yas Island.
Okay.
Which, as you may know, is like a big entertainment district in Abu Dhabi. It's got Ferrari World, the F1 track, Warner. And the first thing I saw when he went goofy, when Momoa went goofy, he was playing the exact same person in those television commercials. In those television commercials, he's like going down a water slide with like a little girl or something, and he's like screaming his head off, you know? I'm gonna die.
Is it actually Momoa doing the ads as well?
It is Momoa doing the ads.
That's hilarious.
He's playing the exact same person. Then he's like going to a restaurant, filling his plate up, and he's like so surprised by like, you know, like he's just overacting at everything, right? He's going into Warner. When I saw his change in the character, I'm like, whoa, it's the exact same guy.
Yeah.
It was so weird to see.
It's kind of like a guy who knows there's a camera on him, so he's hemming it up to be like to stand out some more.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this franchise doesn't need that or does need that. I just
choose one.
Exactly.
So that's the cast. What about the plot? Just the overall plot.
The plot's interesting because, first of all, as you rightly pointed out, not only the stunts, but some of the plot elements we've seen in previous Fast movies, and we've seen them in previous spy movies, right? A villain goes out of his way to discredit a group of agents that are supposed to be the good guys to make them outcast as the bad guys. That's exactly what happened in Mission Impossible, Ghost Nation. That's also what happened with James Bond. It's a trope that we've seen. And I guess we haven't seen it in this, but I think this would have kind of been almost better off as just being a revenge mission without having to get so complicated into, you know, trying to discredit these people, because these people are also like, who cares if they get discredited as agents? As long as they have family, they're still together, right? So what difference does it make?
I agree. Everything was a little bit recycled. I was thinking that this should have gone two different ways. The first is that, little nobody says, you guys aren't off the hook. You still owe us. We've got this mission. It's a
Right.
suicide mission. I need you guys to pull it off. And they have to go to, make it up, Uzbekistan, right? Fakistan, whatever it is. And they've got to do a mission. I could have lived with that. The second is, and you tell me if I'm just going berserk here, Fast and Furious should have just jumped the shark, and Cypher should have created some type of wormhole or time machine. And they should all go back to the 80s. Ludacris, Tyrese, big afros. Everyone should just be dressed in like the bell bottoms and stuff. And they should try to have to get God's eye, and they should try to like take out the person who had the inspiration for this. Break into the Pentagon in the 70s or the 80s or whatever. They should have just leaned into it and gone full on multiverse.
I have famously for years amongst all our friends joked that before Fast 9 came out, I said,
Yep.
hey, guess what? They're going into space because that's all they have
Yep.
left. I called it right after we saw Fast 8.
Yep.
And when they went into space in Fast 9, I was the only one in the cinema hooting and hollering for
Yep.
totally personal reasons.
Yes.
And then as soon as I came out of Fast 9, I was like, well, that's it. What's left? Drive a Fiero into a T-Rex's mouth. That's the only thing left for them to do.
65.
It's totally ridiculous in terms of a plot, in terms of this is the end game. This is, going to be the last movie in the franchise as we know it, because mark my words, today, May 20th, 2023, even if Vin Diesel isn't going to be starring as Vin Diesel in any of these movies,
they will not give it up.
There is no way Universal is going to sit on an IP this valuable and not milk it for the next 2 decades.
Totally agree.
This is a James Bond. This is a Mission Impossible. They're going to continue making these movies.
I feel like my time travel would have been great, because then you could have divided everybody up and you could have had 2 cop buddy movies with Tyrese and Luda trying to get back to their wormhole, right? Or Tyrese, Luda, and Nathalie, right?
Yeah.
You could have had 2 movies with John Cena and the kid, right? You could have 2 movies with Statham and Han. You could break that down into 8 movies, all of which we would have seen. And the whole goal is they're broken into 4 groups, Rodriguez and Cypher, and they're all trying to get back, destroy God's eye, and make it back to this portal before it closes, right? I just got you to 20 movies, Universal.
The problem is that the horizon is too long for these actors. I love Michelle Rodriguez, but she was starting to look her age. Yeah. So it's not the easiest thing for her to continue playing a hard ass who's ready to do flips and throw punches for the next 20 years. It's just not possible.
I mean, that's why you've got the new team, right? Which is Brie Larson, Alan Richardson,
that's exactly right.
Little Nobody. That's the team. Then, if that's your strategy, and Pete, you're smart. I sincerely believe you should be running a studio. One day you will. If that's your strategy, please hire me. Yeah. If that's your strategy, then why are you giving screen time to Jordana Brewster?
Yeah.
God bless you and your lithe body. You're not getting us any further in the continuum of this franchise. Show Brie Larson more. Show Alan Richardson more. Ames, right? Show Little Nobody more. That's what you should be doing. If you're really sincere about transitioning to the next generation, you've got to show those people more.
So I think what happened is when they were writing this movie, I think that the writers came up to Vin Diesel and showed him a script that was probably 7 hours long. Because they said, I understand you want to make Fast X, and I understand you want this to be the last movie in the franchise. You're the producer. We get it. This is a 7-hour long movie. And I think Vin Diesel took that script and with his very manly toned ripped arms, ripped it in 2 and said, Fast X Part 1, Fast X Part 2, let's make this an Avengers movie and let's go on that basis. And if you
You
look
think
at the
anyone
plot,
said, if you want those two movies, you should just divide the stack of papers in half. You shouldn't actually rip them in half.
yeah, well, exactly. And I mean, think about it, right? This movie is not a standalone movie. If you look at Star Wars, look at any of the Star Wars movies, we know that they're trilogies, right? 3 sets of trilogies. Look at the Avengers movies or the Lord of the Rings. The beauty of each movie was that the whole story is told over 3 movies, but each movie had its own plot and was a standalone movie. So if you saw Lord of the Rings 1 only, you didn't walk out of the cinema after having watched Fellowship of the Ring and felt like you saw an incomplete movie. I think that I walked out of the cinema and I felt entertained by the movie. I was disappointed because not only are there loose plot threads, there's no arc in the movie. There is no third act. There's no defined 1, 2, 3 act structure. None of that. It really felt unsatisfying to watch this movie as a movie, not as a piece of media entertainment. Certainly was entertaining. Fight scenes were great. The Rome sequence I thought was phenomenal. I thought that was one of the best action sequences out there.
Yeah.
But it didn't even end on a proper cliffhanger. You just see him as the dam is about to explode. You see Charlize Theron and Michelle Rodriguez standing on an iceberg in the middle of the Antarctic. I mean, none of these qualify as good cliffhangers. I think that the next movie is going to do far better critically than this movie does, because as a critic, as someone who's looking at the storyline, I think there is none. I think it's an incomplete story and I didn't like it.
I don't really have much to add. I think you're right about all of that. I think the storyline is a little bit flimsy to begin with, but the fact that they've drawn it out over an entire 2 hours and 10 minutes without any conclusion except, a few, not spoilers, but a few like pop-up surprises. I agree. I'm just not convinced anyone leaves that movie saying, wow, like that blew my mind. That's the best one yet.
Yeah.
I think everyone left saying, well, okay, I guess I got to go see the second one. I think it's more out of obligation than
I think that would have
enthusiasm.
worked fine if they were releasing Fast 11 next summer and they had already filmed it, but they haven't even written it and filmed it.
Is that true?
Yeah.
No way.
From what I understand.
That's kid's going to be like 2 years older then. That is super, super annoying. And also, that's a movie malpractice. God forbid. We've seen this with Paul Walker, Carrie Fisher. People die. There is no good reason if you're going to have a 2-part movie that you don't shoot the whole thing at the same time.
At one goes. Yeah. The 11th movie, it's in development, which means that the script hasn't been written.
That's shocking to me, especially since this isn't even like, as you said, it's not like there's an arc, and it's got to have a second part. This is clearly Endgame Part 1, Endgame Part 2 type situation where there has to be direct continuity. That kid's in the water, right? After the dam explosion. He simply cannot be in puberty 2 years older.
Exactly.
And they just put him in he
comes out with like a
t-shirt.
mustache. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's silly that
but
they did
seriously,
that.
what happened? Just God forbid, Vin Diesel passes away.
Yeah, knock on wood, he does not.
You absolutely cannot make that movie then, right?
Yeah. You want to hear the crazy part? At the premiere last week, Vin Diesel said the studio was so happy with this movie that they want to split Fast 11 into 2 movies so that this is effectively a trilogy ender. I'm sorry, but I think that is the worst idea you could do. I don't have the patience to sit through another movie with more action sequences and a plot that goes effectively nowhere to see a conclusion, 8 years down the line? These things aren't done overnight.
I'm gonna roll it back a little bit. Okay. Let's just calm down, take the emotion out of it.
Yeah.
Pete.
No, damn it.
I don't think it's the worst idea. I hear your point about it's very frustrating to not have a resolution for 6 years. But I have to say, I don't think it's the worst idea to split this into. I think it's okay idea if the execution is good, which means You can't have a guy that starts one movie 13 years old and ends up 17 years
Oh,
old.
no.
Film
So
all three together.
I'm totally with you on having the end movie be split in two, Fast X and Fast 11. That I'm okay with. What I'm not okay with is then to say I filmed Fast X with the idea that we're going to make a Fast 11 and that 11 is going to be a cap.
No,
I
it's
am
11
not
and 12.
okay with you then splitting into 11 and 1/2 and 12. I think that is silly.
It's X, XX, and triple X.
Yeah, right. Which will also star Vin Diesel, hilariously.
Yep.
I think that's going to be a commercial mistake for them to do that, only because I don't doubt that this movie is going to make a lot of money, but I sincerely doubt that people are going to have the patience to watch a movie that doesn't have a plot. You can do that for one. You can't do that for 2 or 3.
We'll still go.
Of course we will. But I'll tell you right now, I would have downgraded that movie on that basis alone. Let's talk about the other elephant in the room, the mid-credit sequence shocker. Guess who's back?
Can I just say, I really, really sincerely, Pete, give you a lot of credit for these things. I know you say I read from your notes, and it's true, we have a lot of similar ideas, but when it comes to predictions, you are I don't know what the name is for like a mind reader. You are exceptional at prognosticating things like that. I really give you a lot of credit, and you said it exactly right. The Rock is going to be back, and it made a lot of sense. And yes, now we've seen The Rock is going to be back.
Politically, and when I say politically, I mean Hollywood politically, it is the exact right move for The Rock, because even though he's publicly feuded with Vin Diesel, and, you know, of course, the question is certainly going to come, was that a real feud? Was that them doing this on marketing basis because they knew he wasn't going to be there for the 9th movie, but come back for the 10th? We don't know, right? This could just have been like a PR maneuver. But politically, this is something he absolutely needs right now because his reputation is in the dumpster.
I think dumpster's a little bit harsh. I
okay,
mean,
fine. In the waste paper basket. Let's put it that way. It's certainly not doing well. A lot of articles came out, a lot of behind the scenes information came out about his behavior on Black Adam and Shazam.
His behavior? What was his behavior?
In the rap party for Shazam and Black Adam, like, he insisted on bringing his tequila brand. You know, he owns Tremano or whatever it's called, like his tequila brand. Like, he wanted to set up a bar/marquee there, even though it's a predominantly children's movie. And everyone was just like, well, yeah, that's great if you were making a Fast and the Furious movie. That doesn't make sense for a children's movie. We can't set up a bar for kids. The Shazam cameo. So apparently when we saw Superman come in, it was originally written for Shazam to come in.
Oh.
This is all hypothetical. I just want to caveat that now. The Rock, please don't come after me. He went out of his way, tried to play a power play with Warner Brothers, and said, I want you to bring Henry Cavill back, and I want you to announce that he's going to be playing Superman. They caved to pressure from The Rock. They did that only for Henry Cavill to effectively get booted out literally the next week after the movie got out. And he also was supposed to be in the end credit sequence for Shazam 2. He said no. They had to ask James Gunn for a favor and use his Peacemaker guys to come on the thing.
No. I mean, I take all these things, even if they're true, I guess.
Yeah, the point is, you're right. I don't know if these are true. The issue is that
this seems to be just kind of like promoting his own personal agenda. But irrespective, The Rock's stock is down, right?
To your point, because he was busy promoting his personal agenda, he came off as not a team player for the studios.
That's right. That's right. And that's off-brand for The Rock.
Exactly.
The Rock's brand is, I'm your personal...
I'm the guy who will market and promote the shit out of your movie, and I will do whatever it takes to make this a success.
That's right. He's got that good guy reputation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So by him coming back to the Fast franchise after so publicly feuding with Vin Diesel, sends the industry the message that, hey, no matter what my personal feelings are about Vin Diesel, I will do what's best for the movie and the franchise. And of course, the studio is going to remember that when the next
Yeah.
project comes up for The Rock, they'll think like, yeah, he hates Vin Diesel, but he still did that for us. Let's throw him a bone.
I hate to say it, but this movie needs The Rock.
Yes.
But I think it's got to start to really look closely at who else they want to highlight in this franchise. They need to make some hard decisions because there's really too many people and they're not all adding value.
So on the back of that, who do you think the new team should be, or who needs to go?
Brewster needs to go.
Yeah.
Han needs to go.
Okay.
Natalie Emmanuel needs to go.
Yeah.
Queenie Helen Mirren needs to go. And I think that they should, if they're looking for the next generation, they need to put Tyrese and Luda in some situations and kind of audience test them. Can these two be a team? And can they carry like a movie, just these two?
Yeah.
And I think you need to do something with Brie, Alan Richardson, and Little Nobody and say, can this be the next group that kind of leads the Furious franchise? Any of these three have it. Brie can definitely do it. I loved her character.
Yeah.
Is Ames going to be the next Rock, the next Diesel?
Well, the bad guy, right?
And Little Nobody, they gave nothing to Scott Eastwood.
Yeah, I mean, he was not killed, but he was injured almost immediately.
Yeah, I mean, so I feel like if you're really looking out for this franchise, and then you need to make a decision, is Cena in or out? Is Cypher in or out?
Here's my pitch for the next generation. You do what the MCU has done, is you start creating mini franchises in different genres that are all loosely tied around the gearhead culture.
You're right.
So you do a buddy cop comedy spinoff with Tyrese and Luda.
Agree.
You do a continuation of the serious side of the franchise where instead of having a different villain every movie, you keep Alan Richardson as the main bad guy and you keep Brie Larson and Scott Eastwood as the good guys trying to take him down.
Okay.
And then the third prong should be a continuation of the action buddy cop sequence, which was Jason Statham and The Rock. The chemistry between Jason Statham and The Rock in Hobbs and Shaw was very good. And I thought the action sequences very good. And it felt like a Fast and the Furious franchise movie without being in the Fast and the Franchise series. And I thought that was the perfect balance. So I think those are the three major things.
Yeah.
Bless, I love him, but I think Vin needs to go. I think the rest of the gang in general, I think they need to go. I think they need to retire and say, hey, I can't be raising a kid with my quote unquote very much alive husband and still be doing these shenanigans. That's one problem for Jordana Brewster. And Vin Diesel cannot be raising his son with his wife and his quote unquote pseudo sister-in-law in Brazil and still be doing these shenanigans too. I think that at the end of Fast X2 or Fast 11 or Fast XX or whatever they're going to call it, he goes into some kind of like witness protection program and starts a new life somewhere else.
I think that's a very good way to bifurcate it. Again, if you want this franchise to go indefinitely, and there's no reason it can't, you need to give screen time and you need to make those people beloved. I thought they did it a little bit okay with Brie Larson. Not enough, but I thought that she was solid in her scenes. It was really weird how they dealt with Ames. Little Nobody didn't get any screen time at all.
But I think the Ames revelation that he was a bad guy, first of all, no surprise there. But I think they set that battle up perfectly for The Rock to take down Ames. I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
That makes sense.
I think The Rock is going to fight Ames. I think Vin Diesel's going to fight Dante. And I think that the rest of them are going to fight everybody else. Yeah. So let's go into the predictions. What do you think is going to happen Fast 11?
No. You've got a list of predictions, right? You've got your six. Let's hear your six.
My predictions are that, first of all, The Rock is going to take center stage. He's not going to be a side character. I think he's going to play a very prominent role in Fast 11.
Okay.
I think that, and of course, guys, super spoiler alert to what we're going to say to the next things here. I obviously don't believe that the crew died in that plane crash.
Oh yeah, of course.
I think Giselle is going to be the one who ends up saving Han and the crew.
Okay.
I think that's how he's going to find out that she's still alive. And I think that for the rest of the movie, Han is going to struggle with the fact that she's alive, which means that hopefully by the end of the movie, they're going to get back together. I said Tyrese is going to continue quipping with Ludacris, which is a given.
Yeah.
As a Deus Ex Machina, John Cena comes back to save the day in the big fight sequence at the very end of the film, because presumably what's going to happen is Dante and Vin Diesel are going to fight. And as they're fighting, Dante is going to try to run away and throw his goons at Vin Diesel's character. John Cena is going to come in. He's going to come in like a wrecking ball, take out all those guys. And while he's doing so, he's going to say, "Go get him." And I think that that last sequence is effectively going to be a trinity of action heroes. It's going to be Statham fighting side by side with The Rock, fighting side by side by Vin Diesel. I think that's going to be on the final, like the poster of the final battle. I think it'll be the three of them.
I liked all those predictions. I wouldn't bet against any of them. The one I'm really disappointed about, because I'm worried that it's going to take valuable screen time, is I really don't want to see Giselle and Han and try to explain.
It's going to happen. I know I don't like it either, but it's going to take up at least 10 to 15 minutes of screen time. At least.
This is when you go take your popcorn break. I'm really disappointed by this, because I think it's going to take a movie that should have great pace, and it's going to, first of all, it's going to give me some nonsensical explanation that I really don't have the tolerance to even like entertain, right? Oh, when you saw me fall off this moving aircraft onto the tarmac, and presumably my body was found and I was pronounced dead and buried, right? Otherwise, don't you think Han would be like, "Oh shit, we never even found her body. Maybe she's alive," right?
Yeah.
I mean, like the whole thing is just nonsense. So anyway, I really don't want to listen to this explanation. And I really don't want to watch those two play this awkward dance in terms of whatever they're going to do. But you're 100% right. I believe you. It's going to happen. I'm just really annoyed that it's going to interrupt my movie experience. Gotta do it. So that's Fast X. Now, are you ready, Pete, to give this a rating? Or wait, should we talk about one more thing before we do this?
Oh, please, yeah.
This is now a problem. We didn't even talk about the action sequences. And I think the problem therein is that they were so meh that we just forgot to even talk about them.
Yeah. I liked that wrecking ball.
I thought that was a pretty cool idea. I think it could have been done a little bit better, or maybe with more comedy. But I thought that was a pretty cool, devastating scene.
Again, Michelle Rodriguez on that bike, so cool when she's like dances around on the bike and gets around. Oh, I thought that was so cool. I will say over the last few years, Michelle Rodriguez's stock, in my opinion, has gone through the roof.
I'll tell you, her stock was flat until I saw Dungeons and Dragons. I'm telling you, Dungeons and Dragons was just like insider trading for me. It was so good that I liked her only because of that movie. But prior to this, prior to D&D, I thought that she was just like, nah.
Yeah.
But I thought that scene, yes, with the rolling bomb was pretty solid. I think that if I had enough time, I could probably reimagine it in a better way, but I thought that was pretty solid. Then what's the next big action sequence?
The helicopter as a nunchuck.
Boring.
That was it, really, in terms of massive action sequence. I mean, you had the fight sequence between Charlize and Michelle, but...
And then you could half say like the scene where he's driving down the dam with the flames engulfing, but that was...
Yeah, you're right. That was probably the quote-unquote signature stunt of this movie.
Is it?
But that's what I mean. Underwhelming at best, right? He drove down a concrete dam.
I don't know. I just thought all of them were a little bit yawn.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Fast X, let's see. It's a return to gravity-defying and physics-defying action sequences. Totally incomprehensible at times. This is a totally incomplete movie. I mean, the second half of the movie is effectively an action-heavy trailer for what's to come.
Yeah.
Like Jason Statham was in the movie for all of 5 minutes, and then we literally see him drive away.
Oh, how did they get this very expensive blue Kevlar plane?
Oh yeah, Jason Statham organized that for them.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. That's the correct response to these kinds of questions. So it's a totally incomplete movie. The script was by far the worst part of this movie. It was like every other word was family, 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 car, action
Son,
sequence, family, family,
son.
family, faith, family, faith, faith. Just awful. Just awful. Like I said before, while the movie was entertaining, I thought it was unsatisfying. And I'm not a fan of the creative decisions made in terms of making this movie, like on how they ended it. And I'm, as most people know, I am a huge fan of this franchise. I've loved all of the Fast movies. I don't care how ridiculous they are. I'm a proponent of your idea of them going back in time. That's all the kind of stuff that I loved about this franchise.
Yeah.
This movie had shockingly little of that. So that's why I felt like this movie was a bit of a downer. And that's why I also imagine that Fast 11, especially if it's the last movie, is going to be a huge upswing for them. But despite all of my criticisms, I mean, I'm with you, man. You can't watch a Fast and the Furious franchise at home. You just can't. These movies are made to be half enjoyed and half suffered through in the big screen.
If you like going to the cinema, if you consider yourself a movie fan, this is the movie that you see in a cinema.
Yeah. This is kind of what cinemas are for.
Yeah. It's not a work of art. There's countless flaws. To be honest, it's just kind of like leveraging its name and its budget. And quite honestly, I think that in a blind test, the movie that Pete would create and the movie that Vin Diesel would create would be interchangeable in terms of box office numbers. But the franchise is something big. The movie has very good production value. It's not going to put you asleep, even though it's got some pretty big holes in it. So that's why I think this is a must-see in cinemas. That being said, if you don't see it, you're not going to be missing out on life. You're not going to be, there's really no adverse consequence. But if you're a movie fan, this is definitely the movie you should see in a cinema.
It's one of the few with reluctances I say this is a must-watch.
Oh, a new category.
Yeah.
Must.
I mean, I'm going to caveat that. It's a must-view in cinemas with an asterisk.
Yeah. I was happy to watch it. I thought it was the right length. But when I walked out, I was not like breathless, like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe that happened, you know, or.
Although,
whoa.
having said that, I was super excited because I got to have this discussion with you. Like, I was excited more to talk to you about this movie than I was about the movie itself.
You know, I took a huge number of notes. I was really excited by the whole thing. I thought there were some really clever and interesting things, but it's not the movie that I would have made.
Just a quick update. Do you know how much this movie cost to make?
$250.
The last movie, Fast 9, cost $200. Their budget was $200.
Less than Citadel, $250.
$340 million.
What?
$340 million, and I don't know where it went. Honestly, I don't know where it went. That means this movie needs to be a $900 million movie effectively to break even.
I don't know why it's almost double, 75% more than 9. Sometimes I feel like movie studios don't think like investment bankers. If you would have only given someone 300 million rather than 340, what would you have lost with that $40 million?
Yeah.
What would I have not seen? Would you cut out the helicopter scene?
Or maybe the Antarctica sequence?
The Antarctica sequence, if that's your thing, and someone said like, okay, let's spend 40 million on it, I would say, what's your return on investment? And I think for that, there's zero. I think there would have been an equal return on investment if Lucy Liu comes in white camouflage on a snowmobile. I think you get the exact, more or less, production value. I don't think that you sell any fewer tickets.
But I guess that's the problem with these movies is they set their expectations so high that you kind of have to go up and up and up. I mean, this is the same problem we are seeing with Mission Impossible.
I'm all for that, but we've already seen a submarine. I mean, not to be like, oh, I've seen a submarine before, but I've seen a submarine in the Fast and Furious before.
Yeah, that's true.
There's got to be a new vehicle that they could come up with that would be innovative to me. But I felt that the submarine didn't add anything. Okay, it brought back Gal Gadot, fine. But in terms of like vehicular wise, it didn't do anything for me.
I'm with you.
Couldn't you make up, I'm just going to make up a vehicle, some cross between like this huge Hummer and like a tank, and paint it like white camouflage with like tracks on it, and have Gal Gadot drive up in that thing? You're like, what is that?
A hover tank.
Is that a tank or some crazy Sikorsky helicopter that's like white camouflage and it's got like crazy rotors
that fold back, tracks come down so that it can land on the snow and drive like a tank? Oh, brilliant.
I think if you said a sub is 40 million, I'd be like, all right, look, I'm not trying to run like a budget film here, but you can have 10 million for that scene, right? I'm being more than generous with you, Vin. $10 million is a lot of money, right? So with that $10 million, go find a scene, get whatever army tank you want, paint it white camouflage. I'm sure you can do something super cool, right? And I don't think we'd watch that scene and be like, whoa, what a disappointing scene. I also have to say, by the way, I didn't think the cannonball car was as cool as I thought it would be.
No, not at all. I think if they had used actual ship cannons, it would have been way cooler.
Yeah, like proper like World War, Revolutionary War, like cannons, right?
Yeah, like from like a galleon from like the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria.
Yeah, absolutely right. We would love to hear audience reactions. If there's ever been a film that people should have strong feelings about, if you take issue with our opinions, yes, we want to hear some good, active banter. Reach out to us.
Email us aloha@filmsandstuffpodcast.com. You can tweet at us at FNS Podcast. You can DM us on Instagram at Films and Stuff Podcast. And of course, please like this video, hit that bell, subscribe, leave a comment. All of these things, any of these things help us out greatly.
That's right. Stay tuned for Keith's 6 predictions. Let's see if they come true in the next installment of Fast X, whatever that may be called and whenever that may be released.
Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely right. So again, with hesitation, we both give this a must-watch in cinema. It is a spectacle.
It is a spectacle. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on Films and Stuff. We'll catch you next week, all right?
Thanks, Ethan.
Thanks, Pete. Bye now.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.